Hello, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I again have Steve Cooper, one of our very best therapists, with me. And our program today is we're going to cover some information about Steve's approach to group therapy and his group, but we're also going to talk about a really major interest that Steve has that a lot of us other therapists here at Family Tree, we don't have the training or the experience, but one of the really popular and trends in mental health and counseling is neuroscience. It's huge, and you have a lot of training and a lot of experience with this, so tell us how you use neuroscience in your work with clients.
Well, we're all neuroscientific systems, and our bodies are, you have neurons from the top in your brain where they're the most of them all the way through your body, and they are, what powers our thoughts and our emotions and the way we perceive things.
So our emotions are more here than here. We always point here.
Well, they're both. It's not as cut and dry like that. I mean, I could get into some pretty complicated detail, and I'm going to avoid that for the most part in this answer. But you have your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system running up and down your body, and your brain activates those based on a lot of things, like your sleep-wake cycle, or if you perceive threat or danger, or if you are in a state of peace. Those things, people can learn how to feel their emotions and understand that those are actually chemicals running through their body, and each chemical has a different way of feeling. So I don't want to go too much into that. Some of it's controversial in the literature, how people understand it. But overall, you could look at it like your brain is a very powerful machine. You could look at it maybe like, think of nuclear science. You have this massively powerful system that can either be used to transform the world in a good way, or it can be used destructively to tear things up. And that's the way our brains are. Our brain is the most complex structure known to humanity in all of the universe. More complex than a star system, more complex than a supernova. It is the most complex system we know, and it's
more complex than one of those huge supercomputers.
More complex than one of those, and it is very powerful. It's a creative force, and emotionally, what most people have been taught by their parents or their siblings or key members of their lives in childhood is how to use that force in a way that creates more problems for themselves than
they're blowing stuff up.
They're doing the blowing stuff up, and they don't recognize how powerful they really are in creating what they want in life or what they would like to experience. And when people learn about how to use their brains, this massively powerful, productive tool that they have given to them, and they learn how to train it, and they learn how to adjust how it operates, and they learn how to master it. I marvel in amazement when I watch Peyton Manning throw 7 touchdowns
that was amazing.
Yeah, and I realized that the reason he's been able to do that is because for years he has been mastering his control of his brain and his body and coordinating them.
He looks here, 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 and throws it there.
With precision.
A new quarterback is still looking over here.
Right. And what I like to do with my clients or with myself, and it starts with me, is training myself how to use my own emotional system, my own brain, in a way that's powerful and direct and capable. And then I can work with my children, my friends, my clients, to come to a place where they see how powerful they are and what they can do. So that it's not this powerful tool that's the person has no clue how to use. it just does what it does, you know, and people don't recognize that it's actually something you can train it and use it in a way that you never even imagined that you could. So people who are stuck in codependency or counterdependency, who don't realize what they could do, how they could train their perceptions and their emotions and what they see in a way that they could actually work themselves out of that way of being and work their relationship out of that pattern. So that's all neuroscience, and it's psychology too, and I guess it just depends on which language you prefer. I like to look at the neuroscience of how those things operate.
In our field, the language is sort of merging and the work is merging.
In the past, you took psychology courses or you took brain courses, and though they did have some overlap, but now my daughter just started at IU, and the department at IU is called Psychological and Brain Sciences now.
Wow.
It's not just psychology.
The whole department.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the idea is, these things are merging, and they will continue to merge. And it is some of the most fascinating things.
Because codependents need to be empowered, and you're giving them empowerment to change their lives.
I think that codependents and counterdependents need to be empowered. I think they're both in a state of self-sabotage.
Right, exactly.
And they don't know it, and it seems so much like someone else is causing that pain. And when people realize how powerful they are in reaching someone else's heart when they know how, or when they have trained themselves to be capable of it. So you may know how but not be ready or able to do it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of it is knowing kind of the destination, and then each person builds their own individual map on how to reach that destination. And counterdependent people seem powerful, but they're really compensating for weakness or fear that they don't know how to
Right.
confront.
Right.
And helping a counterdependent person become powerful helps them to also become intimate and loving and capable.
Truly powerful.
Truly
Not
powerful.
just the facade.
Not the facade of power, which isn't power at all.
Right.
Right. True power is one that is much more fulfilling than what most counterdependent people are capable of producing in their lives. But with the therapy, they can learn how to do that. So, Evan talked specifically about neuroscience, the limbic system, the frontal lobe, the amygdala, and how they relate to the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. That we could go on about those things. But the basic idea is that the brain is a tool, and it's an incredibly powerful one. And if you learn how to manage it, to tame it, and then you learn how to use it, you'll direct yourselves emotionally to places that you never thought you could even go.
Sounds really cool. Well, as we have further videos down the road and we have more time, maybe you can give us examples or talk more about that. So, real briefly, we wanted to also talk about group therapy. You do a group every week. And how is that? How does it work? Why do you do group therapy?
Group is a place, I'm sure you've heard about group from other people on this family tree. It's a place where people can come, and somehow it's easier to see yourself in someone else than it is looking directly at yourself.
Yeah, it really is.
Or somehow it's easier to learn how to manage a situation with someone like your spouse with someone else than it is with your
less charged.
Well, yeah, it's less charged. In psychological terms, there's less ego proximity, and when you are in a group,
is that like being less pissed off?
It's when people are further away from your heart, you're going to be less reactive to them.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to see them more objectively. When they're really tied in with your sense of who you are, it's harder to remain any level of objectivity. And so in group, you have the ability to do that, and it's also a place where people tend to feel a high level of support.
Yeah.
And a high level of people who they trust and who they can really form good connections with and friendships.
When does your therapy group meet?
It meets on Wednesday nights from 6 to 7:30. And
We don't charge a lot for group. There's what do you tend to charge for your group?
$30 a group.
Okay, that's a lot less than $125 or $150. So group is very powerful, but it's also very cost effective. That's one of the things we like about it. So
And people tend to get a lot out of it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, Steve, so if people are interested in learning more about your approach in counseling with neuroscience, or if they're interested in your therapy group, how can they reach you?
Well, my email is stevecooper29@gmail.com, and my phone number is 317-370-1657.
Steve has a lot to offer. He's very good at what he does, and if some of what he's sharing is resonating with you, then dropping him an email and give him a call. All right? Thank you.